Thank you very much for joining us. Now, Chief Justice Georgina Theodore Wood has assured the judiciary would do its best to ensure free and fair elections this year. Speaking at the launch of the 3rd edition of the Manual on Election Adjudication in Ghana, Madam Theodore Wood urged all members of the judiciary to guard their duties jealously.
Then there have been major decisions of the courts with the enactment of new laws that have significantly altered.
It all started on a good note, with the Judicial Secretary Alex Champon opening the launch. Until about a few minutes into his speech, the light went off. Next was former Supreme Court Justice V.C. R.A.C. Crabb, who was forced to also use the MC's light on his phone to read his speech. He urged parties in election disputes to settle matters peacefully.
Democracy. In this regard, the judiciary has played a very important role, not only in the adjudication processes, but in things which bring confidence to the people that the ship of state is on an even keel. Once again, we are gathered here to make known to the world our commitment to democracy in ensuring that disputes arising out of the presidential election and the general election are dealt with in good faith.
John Benjamin, the UK High Commissioner, also had his share of the light out. Chief Justice Georgina Theodore Wood assured the judiciary would do its best to ensure free and fair polls this year. Meanwhile, Attorney General Marietta Briwa-Apia-Opon also encouraged all political stakeholders to address election disputes peacefully.
The determination of these cases is evidence of how the courts have played a pivotal role in handling electoral disputes and in strengthening our democracy. This role places an unenviable responsibility on the judiciary to ensure that the rule of law prevails in the entire electoral process. Given this responsibility, the judiciary has to be prepared at all times, especially during election periods, to handle any disputes that may occur as a result of the electoral process.
The United Kingdom High Commissioner John Benjamin has justified the decision of the Commission to revoke all visas for political activists who cause violence and give hate speeches as Ghana heads to the polls in 19 days. In an interview with Joy News after the launch of the 3rd edition of the Manual on Election Adjudication in Ghana, Mr. Benjamin also urged the media to report such politicians for them to face the full rigors of the law.
I was on a telephone call with people in the Foreign Ministry in London who follow Ghana, and now I remember one of them asked us, do you already have a feeling about the election result, or are they keeping you in the dark? So now I feel I can answer that.
And we'll bring you that John Benjamin interview pretty soon in this bulletin. Now, the Chief of Staff has urged the youth, particularly students in tertiary institutions, to guard against being lured into electoral violence this year. Julius Deborah warned corporate or political violence would not only be neglected by their party masters, but also be forced to pay dearly for their actions. Ohim Interior reports.
Mr. Deborah wants the youth to adopt modern ways of political discourse, devoid of insults and attacks on other political opponents. He has been addressing students at the Konfanoche Nursing Training School in Kumasi to wrap up activities on day one of his 4-day campaign tour of the Ashanti region.
Politics is not about insults, neither is politics about who can fight. Because as I stand before you, as the Chief of Staff to the President, when I wake up in the morning, I never go to his house to say, Mr. President, because I'm your Chief of Staff, I want to have breakfast with you. In the same way, if you also go to follow any politician, who directs you to go and misbehave, who directs you to go and fight someone, and you get hurt, trust you me, the best they can do for you is just to come and visit you while you're on your hospital bed. I am therefore using this occasion to advise and encourage everybody. We are in the 21st century. Life has moved on. When time changes, please be encouraged and change.
His comments come after a group of students at the Comfort Noche Nursing Training School, dressed in MPP paraphernalia, nearly disrupted a scheduled meeting between the Chief of Staff and the students on campus. Some students, perceived to be anti-NDC supporters, kept hooting at the Chief of Staff and the Regional Minister, Alexander Akon, from nearby student hostel as they addressed the student. That notwithstanding, Mr. Deborah discouraged NDC supporters on campus from retaliating.
Let me advise all the NDC supporters on this campus that anytime the new patriotic party comes here to organize a program, please never misbehave towards them.
Mr. Deborah is expected to host a breakfast meeting to interact with business community Thursday morning and address rallies in Agona, Nsuta and Asante Mampong.
You're still here on News Desk on Joy News on Multi TV. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly with more.